So now we are going to talk about pruning basil and why to prune basil. So the reason we want to prune the basil is to make bigger, bushier plants, and they tend to really fill in and get you'll get much more of a harvest out of it if you do prune them. So we start generally when they're a little bit smaller than this. So this one is a little big for its first pruning, but it's totally fine. What you're going to look for is the way basil grows. You'll see the stem coming up, and then you see the opposite leaves going out to either side of the stem. And what happens here is if we are to pinch this, and again, if you saw the tomato video, I'm not sure what order we're going in here, but I would recommend doing this with clean tools rather than just using your fingers, but I don't have them with me right now, so I'm just going to demonstrate this by hand. But you're going to actually cut right above where those leaves branch off to the sides, and what happens then is these side shoots will turn into whole new stems, and they'll get more, and then you can pinch those, and those get 2 more stems, and then you pinch those, and those get 2 more stems, and that's how you end up with a much bigger, bushier plant. So you do that for each one of these stems. So this also, like with the tomatoes, you could root this and have a whole nother basil plant, or you can just go make some pesto or this. And then, so yeah, you'll do that for each one of these stems. Everywhere that you see where it splits off and the branches are going off to the sides, you can just cut right above that. And then these will actually branch out. Instead of being these small little side shoots, they'll turn into big full-size branches. So every single spot that you see, and another way to look at it too when you're pruning, see how the leaves grow in this like crisscross pattern. These under leaves are going out this way, the leaves right above it are perpendicular, so that's what you look for, and you pinch right above where the leaves go off to the sides, and then that will then create 2 more branches. So you just do that all over the plant. So right here we've got that crisscross again, 2 this way, 2 that way. If you pinch off the top and just leave the 2 side ones, that will be 2 branches. You just go around the entire plant and do that, and then we'll have to check on this one again in in about a week, and we'll see the difference in how it's growing, and we'll look for new spots that need to be pinched, and we'll just keep on doing that throughout the season, and it will help us get big bushy plants with lots more basil to harvest than you would have had otherwise. Okay, it's time to check on our basil prunings. From the first video we did, we filmed that a couple weeks ago. We went out to the garden and pruned our basil. It was the first pruning for those plants for this year, for this season, and we've got a few cuttings here that we trimmed off of those plants and then brought it in and put it in a jar of water. And all you really have to do is just make sure you change this water regularly. Change it every day or 2 so it's always nice, fresh, cool water. You don't want this getting dirty. You don't want the stems to you don't want the stems to rot instead of taking root in here. So if the water gets stagnant and old and dirty and full of bacteria, then the stems can actually just start to rot and get mushy rather than rooting. So just make sure that you change that every day or every other day. Keep the water clean, and then just check on it every couple of days and see how it's doing, and hopefully very soon you will see roots at the bottom. So there we go. These are all rooted out very nicely, each of these. So once you see that, once you've got a good amount of roots on there, you can then go ahead, you don't need to leave them in the water anymore. You can now go ahead and plant these in some soil, put them in a pot, or plant them outside in the ground. And then you've got brand new basil plants just from pruning your original basil plants. So we're going to do a follow-up video on pruning the basil. So first thing is go in a little close here, and let me move some of this out of the way so you can see. This is one of the spots we pruned last time. If you look right here, this was where we cut the center stalk, and you can see that these 2 side shoots, look how big they've gotten now. So this is the idea. When you pinch that center and it grows up on the 2 branches to the sides, you end up with a much bigger, bushier plant and bigger harvests. And so what we want to do now, every time we go back and check on it, is we look for branches that we haven't pruned yet, and we'll do the same thing we did before, where we look for that split of the 2 leaves there, and we'll take off that center piece, and you can consider this a harvest and use it, or like I mentioned with the others, you can root these and have more plants. And then in addition to doing all the spots we didn't get before, you can go back to the ones we did get, and now that they have this extra growth, you can pinch again the tops of these, and now this will be 2 more branches, and this will be 2 more branches the next time we come to take a look. So it's a similar process as what we did last time. I just wanted to show you how this ends up giving you so much more on your plant by increasing the number of branches that we'll be producing for you. Here's another one that we had pruned before. Here was the cut, and now it has these 2 big branches. And again, we can pinch the tops if we want. You don't really have to pinch that much. You can, it's not going to hurt it. You could, if you wanted, just pinch the cross piece here, and that would be fine too, and then these 2 will branch out. So just choose where you want your branching to be and then prune above that. And the other thing I want to show is this piece right here. This is getting ready to flower, so we want to get this off of there right away too. So we'll pinch this whole top. We could even, if we wanted, go down further and pinch it here, so then these 2 will branch a little bit lower. So the lower you go, the bushier plant you'll have. So again, here I could just pinch this top, or I could pinch it down here to let it branch from a little bit lower and give us a bushier plant. And we just continue to do that on this whole thing. Do this one down low. Now this will branch off twice here. And once you're done, then you just move on to the next plant.